Well, hello everyone. I'm going to get started here with basics of Excel here. A little commentary to begin with. If you are really good at Excel and have some facility with Excel, there's no reason for you to be watching this session of the class. If you don't know Excel, we need to make sure that you do know Excel, and so we're going to spend some time ensuring that you have those basics in place. So, Excel is going to be fundamental to your success in finance courses work, in your other business classes, and or frankly when you get a job. I don't know what element of the organization that you might work in. If you work for a business, you're going to need to know how to use Excel, and particularly if you're going to continue on in finance and accounting. You very, very much need to know Excel. But really, if you're in marketing or HR or anything else, you need to know Excel. So I'm not going to try and teach you Excel. I'm going to try and teach you the very, very, very basics of Excel, and because you're going to need to know Excel for this course. Now, you're not going to need to know a whole lot of it, and it's not going to be really hard, but there's going to be some basics here related to it. Plus, your part of your discussion homework this week will be to go out to the web and post a link of your favorite tutorial related to Excel, because I'm going to teach you some basics, but there's so much information out there on how to do Excel that I want you to learn how to be able to do it yourself and find solutions yourself. Probably the simplest way to do that, frankly, in my opinion, is YouTube. But there are hosts and hosts of other sources, and I would love for you, the students, to post those sources of help and learning and knowledge related to Excel. You will know from me that when I teach, I don't. Everybody learns differently. No one learns the same, and so. Some of you may learn from the book better. Some of you may learn from a lecture better. Some may learn from the web better. Some may learn from talking to other students. I don't care how you learn. I just want you to learn. And so I will try and present material to you multiple ways so you can find a solution that actually works for you. Because my job as your teacher is to teach, not to demand, right? All right, so I'm going to go through Excel. Once again, if you're good at Excel, you can watch all you want. Maybe you could, send an email or type or put something in the discussion about it. But if you are new, this is going to be really basic, but I think it's going to be important. Now, the workbook, come on over here. This entire spreadsheet is called a workbook, and then inside each workbook they will have various tabs, right? So this one says financial basics, it says introduction. It's got different data and different information in it. This workbook contains 5 sections: introductions, financial basics, basic time value of money problems, intermediate time value of money problems, and then basic financial statistics. Right now you're only seeing these 2 because these are the only 2 that I want to focus on. I'm going to give you a little hint. They're in here if you really want to come in here, but I have merely come in and I have hidden those, and I can unhide any of these tabs that we might want to have. So you can just unhide them and you can see them there. But for right now, we just need to stick to the introduction, where it's introduction and financial Excel basics. That's it, and that will get you through the majority of this course. But this will be posted on doc sharing, so you can go out and grab it and take a look at it. You can open up those other those other tabs that I've hidden here. Remember, I can unhide them, and you can come, pick whichever one. If you want to go to basic financial statistics, you can, and that may be very helpful to you. But I'm going to flip right over here into financial Excel basics. And it really is that our department, the finance department, thinks it's fundamental that you have some basic fundamental understanding of Excel. And so one of the first things I'm going to do here is teach you this before we get started. Now, there are all kinds of things in Excel, but there are columns, and they're labeled with a alpha, and it goes 256 columns this way. And then there's rows this way, right? And there are 65,000 rows. if you want to add a spreadsheet, you could click here and you could add a spreadsheet. You can add a tab. So I'm back over here to intro. So there's a lot of things that you can do. There are many things to do, and we'll go through all of the things you can do up here on the menus in a little while later. Not all of them, just some basics. But this is the basics of the spreadsheet. You can format it, you can change it, you can see here, if you just want to make things, this is bolded, it's underlined, I can unbold it, I can underline it, I can italicize it, I can put a box around it, I can put a color behind it, I can change the font color, I can do anything I want. Right? I can format it a million different ways. It's pretty simple. I can format entire columns by coming up here and highlighting 2 columns and saying I want to highlight that entire column. Take that out. Also, maybe I want to format an entire set of rows. And I come in here and format that set of rows, right? So there's all kinds of, and if I wanted to format, frankly, the entire spreadsheet and come up here in the top left, I can do that. I can do this, right? The whole spreadsheet's going to look like that. Well, I'm going to come in here and obviously undo all of that stuff that I've done here. But so there's a lot of basic formatting that you can do. One thing to understand is that all the information that's presented here is, the logic here is that it's math-based, and words are essentially labels, and then everything else is related to math. And so what you have here is these are called, each one of these little grids, rectangles here is called a cell. So this particular cell is the intersection of L, column L, and row 11. So that would be L11, as you can see right over here where it says L11. So what can we do with this? I'm going to come over here, and on this particular spreadsheet, I'm going to put 555 over here on intro. I'm going to come over here somewhere. I'm going to put 777. I've got those numbers out there. But I want to come to this spreadsheet. I'm going to hit the equal sign, and then I'm going to click on introduction. I'm going to highlight that cell. I'm going to use the plus sign. I'm going to come to this. I'm going to highlight that cell. I'm going to hit enter, and I have the total. So once again, you can look up in here, and it will tell you how that cell was derived. Also, if you want to know how a particular cell is derived, you can just double-click on it, and it will put it there for you. But in this case, I can see it was from Introduction tab, cell number M11. So Introduction tab, cell number M11. Right? M11, M11. And the other part of this was Financial Excel Basics L11. Financial Excel Basics L11. So it does your math for you, right? There's a lot of interesting math. So you can do a wide variety of things. It can add, subtract, multiply, divide, obviously. Add is plus, multiply is an asterisk, subtract is a dash, and divide is a slash, right? So there's a lots of things that you can do. You can highlight entire groups of things and do things with them. You can format them. But since it's a communication tool, not just a number crunching tool, be sure to format things, make them pretty, make them readable, just like you would any Word document, any PowerPoint, or anything else. All right. So we've talked about the tabs. You can have multiple tabs on a spreadsheet. You can do a lot of things with these tabs. If you don't like the name of that, I can come in here and right-click on this, and I can rename it, and I can call it, calcs. Frankly, if I want to come in here and I don't like this, I want to change the tab color of that. I want everybody to be able to see that, so I'll put that in red. Coming over here, everybody knows, hey, don't forget to come look at the intro. There's all kinds of things you can do here with the tabs. But the tabs are really, if I was going to do things here, I would probably do something like Eastern Division, and then So in this case, I would have the results from the Eastern Division and everything that did there, and then so you could just come look at one tab so that it was all about the Eastern Division. I could come here and put all the information I want to in here, so what's going on in the Western Division, and then I would have one that consolidated them all. Something like that. But let's go back to Financial Basics. So we told you about the tabs. The help feature is really good. You just hit F1, and then this little screen, it takes a little while to pop up, and then all of a sudden Excel help pops up, and there's just a ton amount of things that you can do that tells you how to do things. It will teach you how to do things. If somebody says, hey, go do a VLOOKUP, ooh, that's scary. What the hell are they talking about? You can look up all kinds of things in Excel and how to do things. It's right there at F1. All right? But frankly, like I said before, I think the web is great. So if you just Google it, go to YouTube, the answer is out there. Let's talk about some basics, you know, copy and paste, etc. You can do the basics, so you can just come over here and, you know, copy, come over here and paste. You can also, you know, you come over here and frankly, and you can cut, you know, and paste like you would anywhere, like anything else, right? So just your standard kind of copy and paste functions. Paste special is a little different. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And I'm just going to put some numbers in here for just for presentation. So I got 333 here, and I got 444 here. And so I could say, as a formula, I could just say equals 333 plus 444 and get that number, right? Or I can equals that plus that and get that number. Once again, remember when I told you you could double click on something and it could tell you what the formula was, where that came from? Double click on that and I can see the two cells that were used to calculate that. But let's say I copy and paste this. I can copy and paste it. That's nice because it's got the formula on it. I can, but what if you want to do something else? Perhaps I want to come down here and I want to paste, not the formula, but just the pure numbers. So I'm in here and kind of this paste function here, and I want to put just the numbers. Guess what? It doesn't have this formula anymore. It's just absolute numbers. So because I pasted the number. Here I'm going to paste just the formula. Right? Well, why would I want to paste just the formula? Well, let's say perhaps in this cell I had come in and I'd put some special formatting on it. I'd put this kind of stuff around it. And now if I say copy and paste, all that weird formatting comes with it. Many times you want that formatting to come with it. Maybe you don't. So maybe I'm going to come right here and I am just going to paste just the formula. And therefore I get the number without all the stuff. So paste special and relative values of numbers are important. The one thing that I'm going to cover a little bit later that I think is important here, I've got this formula here that shows me where these two numbers are coming from. If you are not careful and you copy and paste that formula, hang on. I copy and paste this formula here. No. Well, it should be 777. It should be 1,544. Something's wrong with this spreadsheet. All right, well, anyway, let's not get into that right now. We'll get into that later. But the basics of copy and paste are there. The menus and related items. Across here, you have a series of menus that will do amazingly amounts of stuff. We are not going to be messing with a whole lot of stuff here. But let's just talk about the very front page here and what's on here and what you're likely to use a lot. So, you know, we talked about the formatting. You got the fonts and the font size. You know, if I've got numbers here, you know, I've got labels here, whatever. And I've got, you know, numbers here. You know, maybe I want to show a decimal point, or maybe I want to have a comma. And so right here, it's got 2 decimals. I can make that less decimals. I can come over here and make it more decimals. There's all kinds of formatting you can do. You can have different ways you want to do it. If I wanted to have express a percentage of this equals that divided by that, I get 8, but I want to express it in terms of a percentage. I'll just click on a percentage. If I want to express it in terms of dollars, I'll just put a dollar sign on it, 83 cents, right? So a lot of stuff to do in here. This section right here, that is this is the formula section. We'll come back to that later, but that's a very important thing to know on this particular tab. Insert, you can insert pictures, tables, all kinds of things. As you get more sophisticated, frankly, I think the first step is to turn things into graphs and charts. We're not going to do that here. Page layout is very important. You have your fonts, your colors, you can have effects. One thing you might want to do is you see all of these lines that show you where all these cells are. Maybe you want to clean it up, and so you can unclick that, and you can see how all of the grid lines go away. Little things like that. Maybe you want to see headings or whatever, but the basics are kind of margins, orientation, size, print areas, something you might use a lot. But formulas, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time here because we're going to go back at home when we use formulas. We're going to come to this thing and we're going to drop down formulas from here. But the formulas are very interesting, and one of the things you might want to know is, let's say we take this number plus that number, and we know what it is, and we can highlight it here and see it, but perhaps it's a really big spreadsheet with a whole lot of stuff and it's not quite as easy to see. And you want to see, where did this number come from? You can come over here and you can trace the precedence. You can just click on it. It will show you an arrow on a bigger spreadsheet of where certain numbers came from. You want to get rid of those arrows. You just want to remove arrows. Let's say I'm in this cell and I want to know any other cell that's affected by any change. Because if you see this 110 I have right here, if I change this number to 77, oh my goodness, somebody's got the AutoCalc turned on. Now I know what's happening. Hang on just a second, folks. Somebody has got the AutoCalc. Sorry about that. So you can see I changed it, it automatically changes. That's what happened to me up here, by golly. Anyway, so that's a technical thing. Don't worry about it. This is a spreadsheet developed by the department. They had done something to the sheet I didn't know they had done. All right, so here we are. I changed that. It changes that number. But perhaps I want to know everything that's dependent upon this cell. I can just trace my dependence, and it will tell me that that cell is dependent upon that one. Data is really important. The thing you're probably going to want to know the most here is how to sort data, because you're in finance and accounting and things like that. You're probably going to want to be able to come in here and sort this. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to data sort. And it sorted it from the smallest to the largest. Did you see that? I came in here, and let's say I highlight this. I want to highlight it, and it will go from the largest to the smallest, which is probably the most likely thing you're going to do in finance. You're going to want to know what's has the most impact, the highest value, something like that, and it will sort it all for you, right? Okay, so the other thing you might want to do is, let's just say we've got let's go back and assume that it's kind of east. Eastern Division, Central, Southern, and Western divisions of the company. And so these are the results, and just kind of some random numbers in here, and you want to know how they're doing. Well, if I do a data sort here, then these labels won't follow, and you won't be able to tell who's what. So you highlight all of it, and I'm going to do a data sort. I can come over here and just do what I just did, or I can do a sort kind of manually. And I'll say, look, I want to sort by column M, and I don't want to go from the largest to the smallest. I want to go from the smallest to the largest, and I hit OK. And you see how the labels follow with their numbers so that you can see what's going on. So right now, so we've got West at 99 and Central at 44. So let's do that again. Highlight that. And I'm going to data sort by column N, but I want to go from the largest to the smallest, right? So right now we know West is the largest and Central is the smallest. So hit it, boom, the data sorts. So that's what I think the thing that you're going to use the most in data is a data sort. Review the thing that you're going to use here. There's a few things in here that you're going to use a lot, but the biggest thing is remember this is a math-based program. It's not Word, it's not PowerPoint, and so it doesn't prototypically automatically check your spelling. So you're going to need to come in here and do your spell check from out here very manually. So when you're doing something to me, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, and do a spell check before you turn in a spreadsheet to me, but do it right here. Now, the other thing you can do is you can add comments, right? So see this tab that says new comment? I'm going to come here and I'm going to type in a comment. I'm going to say, looks wrong. Miss Newber, number looks wrong to me. Please check it. Right? So you click on it, and then you know that you've got this. Well, maybe you don't want to see that all the time. You can just come in here and hide the comment. But this little red thing over here in the corner tells you that that's your comment in that cell. So all you have to do is put your cursor on it, and it'll show you the comment. Or you can come in here, and you can just come in and show and hide it. Or frankly, you can show all comments, or show. You could have dozens of these comments. You can show them all or hide them all. Or you can hide or show one particular one. So that's something that I think you would see a whole lot, is putting a comment in a cell and spell checking. That's what you see on review. View, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time. Obviously, you can zoom. There is one thing where you can, let's say I want to see, you've got a million of these things, that go this way. And, you still want to be able to see, this is division. And this is results. I'm trying to make this, very simple here. And come over here and put myself a little underline under it. And so you want to see what's happening here. But as you go down, as you scroll down, if I scroll down, oh, well, I can't remember what's in this column, what's in this column, what does that mean, what's that heading mean? Particularly if you've got rows and rows and columns of numbers out here, you want to remember what that is. So the one thing you're probably going to do is you put your cursor right there, and over here at View, you're going to freeze panes, freeze panes. Now watch, when I scroll down, little by little, I just keep, and see how it froze the panes, and I can always see here at the top what's going on. So I've frozen the panes, very, very, very helpful. All right. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on freeze panes. I'm going to unfreeze panes, and now it's gone away again. Okay. All right. So that's kind of your menus. Formatting. As I said, you can come up. We're back to home now. You can bold it. You can underline it. You can change the font to whatever you want. You can put all kinds of colors in it, whatever color you want it to make. Do whatever you want. Etc. One thing to note here is if this was because it's you see all this data, I'm just putting in random data here, and I come over here to show it to you. One thing that's very important to note is this data is not in these cells where it's displaying. You see how up here there's nothing in this cell, nothing in this cell, nothing in this cell. It is merely displaying the data that's all contained in cell L68, L66. You see that L66 has all the data. There's a lot of things you can do with it. You can take this right here and you can drag it over so it's all in one cell, all in one cell. Or you can come here and you can just click on this line twice. See how I get that little X there? Double click on it, and it automatically gives me as much room as I need to put it in one cell. You can also come over here and do something that's fairly interesting that you see in spreadsheets a lot. They do it so much there's automatic tab for it here, and it's called wrap text. So it will put it all in one cell where it displays all in one cell, and just click on it, and it keeps wrapping it inside that cell and just expands it this way. Okay, so that's kind of part of the formatting. So just remember, the Excel spreadsheet assumes that if you're using words, that they're labels. So you can do all kinds of things with them. You can move things here. You can see how this is on the right-hand side because it's a word. And by the way, if you put in, if you put in a number here, it assumes it should go to the right. Well, frankly, maybe these little tabs here, maybe you want it to be in the center. Maybe you want it to be on the right-hand side. Maybe you want this number to be in the center. But I think, frankly, you want this number to be easier to read, so you're going to, almost all the time, you're going to want to put a comma in there, and you're going to probably get rid of those decimals, because this is finance, not accounting, and we want to know generally what's going on. You know, and maybe you could highlight them all and put them all in the center, right? Move them all to that side, you know, etc. So there's a lot you can do around formatting. It's really important, and you can explore with it because it's all really just right in here for the most part. Okay. Then the next thing, you know, I talked about selecting the entire worksheet here. That's one of the things that they talked about, so you don't have to worry about that. Errors, there are some things that will give you error messages. Just when you see this, you know, hash followed by something, it will say, hey, there's something wrong here. So I need to go take a look. Circular reference means you're using one number to calculate a number that you're using to calculate a number, which gets into this circle, and I think you can certainly imagine how you can get into a circle here. We're actually going to deal with this much later in the course, but don't worry about it now. Just you get a circular reference just means you've made a basic error for the most part. There are add-ins and all kinds of things that you can add to it, but we're not going to talk about that here. And that's really kind of the basics of what I want you to know. The rest of this with rate and IRRs and NPVs are also all kinds of things we're going to deal with later in the course. So right now I want to deal with some really just kind of basic math. And so let's just try and display something out here so that we can figure out what we're going to do. I'm going to type in Jan. And make it look better than that. I'm going to say Jan, not Jan, Feb, March. I could keep typing across, but that's pretty tedious. I'm just going to highlight this. See in the bottom down here, they got that little kind of square. I kind of grab it and I drag it over. And it's so smart, it knows what I want to put in there. And it automatically figures out that based upon that sequence, that's what I want to be put in there. And same here, I'm going to put in 1, let's just start here and say 11, 12, 13. Well, I want to kind of move that over too, so I'm just going to take that, and it will extend that same sequence for me just based upon the logic it had from the first 2 or 3 cells. It doesn't have to be immediately sequential, so I can say 13, 15, 17. And it comes in here and it will assume to follow the same logic across. So it is, every other number it will populate in. And so just to kind of fill this out, I don't know if it will do this or not. Let's see what it gives if will it give me 11 at a time. No. See the logic it assumed here. Very interesting. Anyway, so I just put that in there. So let's kind of do some formatting here. I don't really want that like that. I want this to be, my mouse right here. I want this to be over the right-hand side so it looks better. I want to put a nice, I like this thick bottom border, frankly. I want to make these bold so that I can see what's going on. Under here, I'm again going to put a thick bottom border because I'm going to do some things with these numbers. And I come in here, and if I wanted to add up these numbers, one thing that's really interesting, I can highlight this number here, and I can see that the total, this displays it down for me, the total is 68. There's 3 numbers in it, and the average is 22.7. So one way to do this is to hit an equal sign, that, plus that, plus that, enter, and I get 68. Or I can merely hit this big thing out here, which is a sigma, which is the Greek letter sigma, which in mathematics stands for sum. and I can just click on sum, and it automatically assumes that those numbers right there, it presumes that those are probably most likely the numbers that I want to sum together, which in this case is right, and I hit enter and I get 68. So another thing I could do is I can take that and see that little square again. I could pick that up and drag it and say, no, I really want to sum all of that. Very different number. So there are lots of things you can do, but once again, you can take that and let's see if I can drag it across. Oh, 82. Double check it. Wow, that's an 82. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to drag that formula across. Wow. So now I've figured out how to sum all of these numbers across. Obviously, you could, instead of dragging across, you could just do a copy and then highlight all of this and paste, and you get the same thing. But there's a lot of things in Excel that are designed to make sure that they think that you are populating a lot of stuff. So let's come out here and let's do something a little different. Let's add something called total. All right. Notice how. So I'm going to come out here, and last time when we did a sum, it assumes those numbers. But right here, I'm going to come here, and I'm going to I'm going to say sum. Oh, so it took the most the contiguous line of numbers and assumes, hey, I want to take a total for this, and I'm going to say once again, I'm going to say East Division, West Division of the company, and Canada. All right, so we know what's going on with East, West, Canada, so I know the total for East is this, and the total for West is that, and the total for Canada is that. Now I want a grand total, so I could run a total that way, and it would give me 1740, or I could run a total and say, no, I want a total, I'm just running a highlight here, and hit enter, and I get the same 1740, right? So very, very basic, simple things. Once again, 1740, correct? Well, let's just double check it. I highlight all of that. Guess what? 1740. I know there's 36 numbers in it, which is 3 times 12, and the average is 48.3. Pretty cool, right? All right. So lots of things you can do with these tables to make these work, but there's a few things that you need to be aware of. So let's say I'm going to take some numbers and I want to calculate some numbers. I'm going to hit equal. I want to know what this number plus this number is, right? 24. I click on it, you can see where 24 is coming from. If I copy that, I'm not going to get 24. I'm going to hit copy. Going to paste. I got 26. Why in the world did I get 26? Because this cell was these two, and when I copied it over, it assumed the same relative position, not these same cells. So it moved over one set of cells. So you can see this cell from these two, and this one's over this two. Probably better shown if I copied and I put it over here. That'd be easier to see. And so when I click on this, you can see this relative position versus this, and I see that relative position. And that's what that's doing. Plus, look at this one right here. So you can see right here, I've got these two numbers. Well, what if I copied it down? Yep. It copied it down, same relative position. So these two, and then when I copy it, it comes down. So if you're copying and pasting, you need to be really, really, really careful. So a lot of basic things you can do here. You can add, subtract, multiply, divide. You can build tables. You can drop numbers in. But mostly you're just putting information into a cell, and you're doing some really, frankly, at this point in your life, fairly basic things. If you haven't seen Excel, you need to absolutely be able to do this. I will tell you, if you're coming to work for me and you don't know Excel, you're going to have a real problem. And I would assume that that's true for almost any other job that you would get in accounting, finance, marketing. And for you accounting and finance majors, everybody that thinks marketing is fluffy, there's a huge amount of statistics that take place in marketing when it's done correctly, right? So anyway, business analytics, anything else that you're doing in business, you're really, really, really going to want to know Excel. So those are the basics of Excel. I don't know that you need to know a whole lot more about it than that, but you know, just understanding the basics of this and how it works and all of that will be extremely helpful to you. So thanks a lot. Good luck in the course. We look forward to having you, and I think we'll have a great semester. Thank you.